Bismillah. Bismillah. We are heading straight into day 8 of the Spiritual Millionaires series. And I'm so excited to be here with you. Subhanallah. Okay, Bismillah. Let's get into it. There you go. Okay. So day 8 of Spiritual Millionaires series. And this has just been such a heart project. Alhamdulillah. I have loved hearing from you guys. I have loved the takeaways that you have been sharing. Honestly, the shifts that you guys have been having have just been phenomenal. And I think that's testimony to the energy with which this series was delivered, subhanallah. And the energy that I just feel, because literally it's just the culmination of all the wealth wisdom gems of 10 years of a heart-led business and having a family during that time and just all of it, subhanallah. Okay, so for day 8, I want you to think about how your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needs to shift in order for you to normalize unreasonable results. And this is an interesting one because what I'm going to share with you is probably something that you're not expecting. A lot of us grew up believing that the kind of relationship that we have with Allah is very limited and very transactional. So we have a very transactional understanding of our relationship with Allah. Well, if I do X, Y, Z, then Allah will give me ABC. If I'm a good person, if I read my salah, if I do this, if I do that, then Allah should give me this thing. And I'm not saying that that is wrong necessarily. Any relationship with Allah is a good relationship. I'm going to say that if you are trying to normalize, if you want to normalize unreasonable results, then you are going to be called to a higher standard than that in your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In order to normalize unreasonable results in a way that is heart led, in a way that has integrity, in a way that is good for your dunya and your akhirah, you are going to have to move beyond. You can see I'm trying to showcase this here. You are going to have to move beyond a transactional relationship with Him, where it's just about X, Y, Z, this, that. And when I say transactional relationship, I'm talking about those parts where you're only seeing things as punishment and reward. If you want to transcend to that next level, you are going to have to transcend at the same time your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Get to know Him. You are going to be called to deeper levels of knowing Allah, deeper levels of trusting Him, deeper levels of tawakkul, deeper levels of believing that He has your back in every single instance. And it's going to take practice. It's going to take the practice and the consistency and the sabr of looking for reasons why He has your back, looking for reasons to be grateful, looking for reasons to believe that everything is rigged in your favor, that He created you out of love and mercy, with love and mercy, and He created you to succeed, not to suffer. But to believe that and to feel that in your body will require you to hold yourself to a higher standard of watching your thoughts about Him, of watching the way you speak about your life, of watching the way you get pulled into complaining circles. Notice the way you speak about your life. Notice the way you speak about how you think Allah sees you and how you think Allah sees your life. Is that the way that you're speaking about Him? Is the way that you are thinking about Allah consistent with you believing that He can bring unreasonable results into your life? I think of the dua of Zakaria alayhi salam, the opening chapters of Surah Maryam. And it's described that Zakaria alayhi salam is this old man. You know, he's himself says that his hair is white, he's approaching old age. And what does Zakaria alayhi salam say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He says to him, "Oh Allah, never," I'm paraphrasing here the exact ayah, look into that. It's the opening lines of Surah Maryam. Highly recommend going into Surah Maryam. It's a phenomenal surah to just look at the tafsir of and do the tadabbur on. But Zakaria alayhi salam, basically, he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a dua that he's been making for a long time, which is a child. And he says to Allah that him and his wife are beyond childbearing age, but he really still wants a child. So he's asking for an unreasonable dua, an unreasonable result. He's asking something. When I say unreasonable, I mean it goes beyond our logic and reason. Because when we over intellectualize our faith, over intellectualize everything, we say, well, that's not possible. It's not possible, right? It's not possible for that to happen. If it hasn't happened by now, maybe it's just not in your taqdeer. Maybe Allah doesn't want that for you. Have you ever caught yourself saying that? Maybe Allah doesn't want that for me. How do you know? How do you know what Allah wants for you and what He doesn't want for you? Just because the dua hasn't been answered as quickly as you want it to be answered in the exact manner on your timeline, how do you know Allah doesn't want it for you? So Zakaria alayhi salam does not go in with this assumption. He asks Allah still for the very big, bold, audacious dua. And he even lists out all the reasons that it might not be possible. But he says to Allah, I want this anyway. And here's the cinch. This is the part I want you to focus on. Because this is the part that will give you a huge gem insight into creating a relationship with Allah that goes beyond transactional. Because let me tell you, in building Live Inspired and letting it be, somebody asked me tonight, I was out, and someone told me, how do you make so much content? How do you how do you do all these programs? How do you do all of these things, mashallah? And I said, not to sound cheesy, but I'm driven by something bigger. I'm driven by a mission and a purpose. I have a big, bold vision, mashallah. And I know that Allah is using me as an instrument, and I ask Allah to use me as an instrument for it in the best possible way. But then it requires me to hold myself to a higher level whilst constantly connecting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asking Him to facilitate my affairs. And that has required me, the building of Live Inspired in the way that I have, and leading that soul led evolution, leading people. That's why Boundaries Evolution is called the revolution, the soul led revolution of doing business in this way, of doing a heart led business that has benefit, mashallah, and afia in it. It has required me to heal the spiritual trauma within me. I had to really redefine my relationship with Allah so that it could go beyond transactional and into something transcendental. Oh my gosh, you know what I'm talking about. The word is not coming out right today. Going back to Zakaria alayhi salam, what does he say to Allah? He says to Allah, he says to Allah, never have I been disappointed in my dua to you. The man who has been asking Allah didn't just start asking Allah for a child, he's been asking Allah for a child for a long time. And yet he says, never have I been disappointed in my dua to you. How does Zakaria alayhi salam say that? Well, Allah knows best. But from my limited understanding of it, I would say that Zakaria alayhi salam is cognizant and aware of all the ways in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has had his back, all the mercies in his life. He's taken the time to assess that, to notice that, instead of hyper focusing on the one dua that has not shown up on the timeline that he would have preferred. How would you? So think about it. If you have a relationship with someone that's very transactional, you feel used sometimes because this person says, well, you didn't do this thing for me. And so I don't think I can trust you. Maybe you don't like me. Maybe you don't want good for me. And you go to that person, but I did this, and I've showed you so many ways that I've loved you, and I've shown you so many ways of compassion and mercy. You're just ignoring all of that and looking at that one thing, right? And this is where you have to look at, where is your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala transactional? Where are you taking a couple of things that didn't go your way, or a couple of challenges that you didn't expect to come your way, and you're just making it mean, well, I'm just doomed for failure. I'm just not cut out for this. Allah doesn't want this for me, not me. He answers other people's du'as, but not mine. Where are you doing that? Anisa saying this is the passion that always ensures you over deliver every time. Subhanallah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. I could never show up for this. I could never show up in the way that I do, subhanAllah, whether it's here with you guys like this, or in my programs, or in my masterminds, or in my closer proximity one-on-ones. I could never show up like that if I wasn't driven by something bigger. A bigger vision and unreasonable results and bold, audacious results is going to mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to put things in your pathway and mold you, and then you're going to have to show up to grow that capacity, and you're going to have to hold yourself to a higher standard of the way that you think of Allah, the way that you relate to him. A transactional relationship with Allah is not going to cut it if you are reaching for something big, if you want to lead a heart-led movement, if you want to create those big, bold, audacious, unreasonable results. It's going to hold you to a higher standard. Where do you need to see Allah in a more loving way? Where do you need to believe that Allah, where can you grow? Where can you expand right now? In 2024, where can you expand in your ability to see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has everything rigged in your favor, that He is molding you, and that everything that He does for you is through His infinite mercy, no matter how it seems in that moment. Do this, and the way that your tawakkul will grow, and the way that your consistency with your dua will come in, and the way that you will start to see things in your life and approach them differently, and the way that you will start to see the results come through, subhanallah. I hope that you are ready. I pray that you are ready to receive this gem that I've dropped for you today. I am sending you huge love, huge du'as. We have one final day of this amazing series. And when I'm saying amazing, I mean, I have felt so amazing through it. It's been so amazing hearing your takeaways, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. I am so happy that we got to experience this together. We have one day remaining. I hope that you will join me live, hopefully, for that, or catch up on the replay. Remember, come onto my Instagram at LiveInspiredZA, share with me the gem, the takeaway that stood out for you from day 8. I want to hear from you. I read every single message and I respond. I'm sending you so much love and du'as. Take care. Have a beautiful evening or morning wherever you are in the world. Assalamu alaikum.